Hello students, I hope all of you are fine. In this video we will be discussing your chapter sorting materials into groups, which is chapter lesson 4 of unit 1. So let's start. You have different kinds of things in your household, or you have seen different kinds of things in your school, in shops also. Now for example, you have a wooden chair, and then some have wooden suppose wooden bed, then plastic chair, plastic bags. These kind of things are made of, some are plastic, some are wood, some are made up of metals. Now how can we classify them in different groups? To know that, we have to learn some properties of materials or matter. Now the first property is appearance. Some materials, if you polish them, they shine. This kind of, for example, gold, or you have some utensils like aluminum utensils, steel utensils at your kitchen, in your kitchen. So if you polish them, they shines. And some materials like wood, plastic, they cannot shine. Even if you polish them, they do not shine. So based on the appearance, we can classify them, the materials. Then hardness. The second property is hardness. Some materials are very hard, like iron. So hammers are made up of iron because they are hard. They are hard to break. On the other hand, plastic and wood, they are easy to break. So there we can say their hardness is low. Plastic hardness is low, and metal hardness is high. Then the third property is states of matter. We have three states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. We will discuss about these three states of matter after a little time. Then let's move on to number 4, soluble or insoluble. Some materials, they can dissolve in water, and some cannot dissolve in water. For example, oil. You have oil in your house, mustard oil, kerosene oil, anything. Those oil cannot dissolve in water, they are insoluble. Then some can dissolve in water, they are called soluble. Soluble materials, for example, you have salt. Salt at your house, if you mix salt with water, it will dissolve. And if a material dissolves in water, or if any liquid dissolves in water, it will be called miscible liquid. For example, vinegar dissolves in water, so it is called miscible. And then if a liquid does not dissolve in water, it will be called immiscible. For example, oil. For example, vinegar, it cannot mix with water. Then number 5 property is float or sink. Some materials can float in water, some materials cannot float in water. For example, let's take an example of wooden boat. Now this wooden boat floats in water. Why? Because the weight of this boat is less than water. The weight of something if weight of something is less than water, then it floats. Similarly, if the weight of something is heavier than water, then it will sink. A rock sinks. On the other hand, a plastic ball floats. If you drop a plastic ball in water, it will float. So this is another property of materials, float or sink. Then transparency. Transparency is, if you suppose there is a glass window, if you light a torch, then you will see that the light passes through the glass window. Now the light passes through the window. So if light passes through an object, we can call the object as transparent. If light does not pass through an object, wood. For example, wood. We take the example of glass window here. Then let's take the example of wooden window, a window made up of wood. Now if you apply a torch, the light will not pass through the wood. So if light does not pass through an object, we can call it opaque object. And if light passes through an object only in some amount, মানে তোমাৰ ধৰি লোৱা যিমানখিনি লাইট দিছা তাৰে আধা লাইট পাছ হৈ আহিছে, if the object allows only some amount of light to pass through, then we can call it as translucent. Okay, so transparent, opaque, translucent. Light completely par ho jay, light olapu par na hoy, light adha par ho jay. So this is another property of materials. Then conduction. Conduction is, there are some materials through which heat passes or electricity passes. For example, aluminum or copper, these two are materials that allows heat and electricity to pass. So this is why you have seen that the utensils that you use to cook at your kitchen, or your mom or dad used to cook in your kitchen, are made up of aluminum or copper. Then your electric appliances are made up of aluminum and copper. Then there are some materials that does not transfer heat or electricity. For example, plastic is a non-conductor of heat and electricity. One more example is wood, and they are used as the handle of the cooking utensils. তোমালোকৰ ঘৰত থকা ধৰি লওক প্ৰেছাৰ কুকাৰটোৰ যিটো handle হয়, it is made up of plastic, and the electrical wires that you see at your house has a covering of outer layer of plastic, so that you do not get electric shock কাৰণ এইখিনিতটো কাৰেণ্ট ফ্লো হৈ থাকিব কাৰণ ইলেক্ট্ৰিচিটি পাছ হয় ইয়াত এলুমিনিয়াম কপাৰেৰে সো এইখিনি যদি তোমালোকে চুই দিয়া তোমালোকৰ গাত কাৰেণ্ট লাগি যাব পাৰে সো they have a layer of plastic. Now these are the properties that we have of materials. So based on these properties we can classify the materials that we see into different groups, and this process is called classification. মানে properties উপৰত depend কৰি হিয়তক বেলেগ বেলেগ গ্ৰুপত ভাগ কৰাটো কোৱা হয় classification of materials. Now let's go to the third point, states of matter. As we have discussed that matter have three states: solid, liquid and gas. To make you understand better, now let's go to the book. See, anything that has mass and occupies space is called matter. Jikono bostur jar weight ase eta and space kiba ta hoilo space ta loy eta jega loy, they are called matter, and matter is made up of tiny particles called molecules. Now for the first state of matter, which is solid, their molecules are closely packed. See, matter is anything that has mass and occupies space is called matter. Now matter is made up of small particles called molecules. These molecules are so small that you cannot see with your eyes. You have to use a microscope. Now in a solid, molecules are closely packed. This is why solids are rigid and have a definite shape. See, this is a microscopic view of a solid. ধৰিলোৱা তোমাৰ ঘৰত থকা ধৰিলোৱা তুমি এটা পঢ়ি থকা বুকখন, এই বুকখনত এটা মাইক্ৰোস্কোপ লগাই দিছে, লৈ পিনে এইটো এটা পিকচাৰ পাইছে, আৰু এইবিলাক যিবিলাক দেখিছা these round shaped objects, these are the molecules of the book. Now as you can see, they are closely packed, means they are yoti thuk khai ase, and because of that solid is rigid, mane solid eta guta obosthat thake, and they have definite shape, volume and mass. ठीक है बोलो, definite shape, volume and mass. Then let's go to the second state of materials, which is liquid. Now liquids are slightly loosely packed compared to solids. মানে solidot jiman thuk khai asile tatke yat liquids bilakot molecules bilak komke thuk khai thake enekwa like this. And liquids have definite mass and volume. They have definite mass and volume, but no shape. See, if you place a liquid, if you pour a liquid in your glass, the liquid will take the shape of the glass. If you pour the liquid in a bottle, it will take the shape of the bottle. So it has no shape. Liquid has no shape, but it has definite mass and volume. Even if you pour it in bottle or in glass or anywhere, the weight of that liquid will always be same. So it has definite mass and volume. The third property is gas. Sorry, third state of materials is gas. Now gas, the molecules of gas are very loosely packed, means they are very far apart, and because of that they are, see, the molecules of gas, they are so far apart from each other, etatke antu bahut durot ase, and because of that sorry, and because of that gas does not have shape, shape 9, then they do not have volume, they do not have